John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on April the 8th in the year of our Lord 2026. I've got a lot of good stuff for you tonight. Let's just jump over here to Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel, and this is the video we're watching tonight, episode 1881. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it, so let's get into it. In fact, I'm making it right now. Okay, so let me close out the live chat. Slide down here and click the Show More button and expand out the description box. We have information from Dan Bongino, Anthony Bryan Logan, Robert Gouveia, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give from FAFO Squad, just started following my channel. MT Patriot Guy just started following my channel. Cheryl G just started following my channel. I do a lot of chatting back and forth with her on when I watch Wendy Bell, and also Dan Bongino, I believe. Goody11 just started following my channel. Mr. Rob53 just started following my channel. And Need for Kid just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1880, and Uncloudy and Debbie BS commented on my... I gotta sneeze here. Sorry, just came on me. Okay, Uncloudy and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1880. Debbie BS commented on my extra 663A. DCZ Holding, Cotton Ball 31, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 663B, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 663C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my video and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. Okay, and incidentally, I do have one of those thumbs up icons right below the video you're watching, so if you want to scroll down and click it or tap it or whatever you need to do to get that thing to turn green, it would be fantastic. Okay, Dan Bongino, horrific video out of Florida, episode 2490. Let's take a listen to what this is all about.
Again, how all of the people who lost their minds yesterday about Trump's True Social post about wiping out Iran wasted your time if you lost your mind over it. Scratching at your face, I can't believe it. He's going to nuke Iran. World War III again. A lot of these commentators have predicted effectively 422 out of the last 2 world wars. It's incredible. All right, today's show brought to you by All Family Pharmacy. Do not wait until you're sick. This is important. Stay prepared with essential medications on hand.
I'm going to go ahead and get us past these commercials here. Brickhouse Nutrition. Here we go.
Let me do the point first, but that's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got some exclusive audio. There was a Trump phone call with the level 7 of the Iranian mullah theocracy, because level 1 through 6 has been wiped out. That led to this ceasefire. We'll see if it lasts or not, but the concessions on that with the Strait opening up, and this is pretty profound stuff. So Andrew's working really hard to clean this up. Justin, play that if you would.
This is Flaming Dragon!
Okay, Flaming Dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face! Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia Jack is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up.
Wow. How did you guys get that? Andrew, he's got better sources than me. I worked in administration. I don't even know people. I don't know how that leaked out. Sorry, guys. I'm not. It's not. This is never meant to be like the comedy show. However, that was rolling around on X this morning. That is a clip, of course, from look at the Mutleys. Everybody's breaking the Mutley rolling out. We got 6 Mutleys, 10 Mutleys. That's not even a thing. Chat, blow it up with the Mutleys. We love it. Yeah, had great. We love you, Joe, up there. Mutley, the Mutley man. Yeah, that's probably what it did sound like. However, that was Tropical Thunder, the greatest movie cameo of all time by Tom Cruise. Thank you guys for putting that together. But on a serious note, even though I hate when people say that, how many times are we going to go through this? Let me lay out for you very simply. Guys, ladies, please record digitally, screen grab. I don't really care. MAGA Kitty, we love you. You're always putting out my clips. You're fantastic. Everyone, please save this, okay? Bookmark this. Whether you like my show or not, because it's not about me. It's about stopping you from having a 30-point blood pressure spike and having a heart attack every time Donald Trump takes a maximalist position and puts something out on True Social you think sounds crazy. Here's how this is going to go, okay? Everybody ready? Jasmine, you taking notes? Okay, good. Here's Trump. I will negotiate with you on X. X could be tariffs, could be the Iranians, could be the nuclear payload in Iran. I will negotiate on this thing. I will come into it with an open mind. He even talks about Kim Jong-un, a tyrant and a scumbag. He talks about Kim Jong-un and he doesn't shit on him in public. He says, listen, we've got a good relationship because he doesn't want to get into a nuclear war. So he will give you, even if you are a tier 1 scumbag, the benefit of the doubt during negotiations. Have you or have you not seen this in the past, folks? He does it with Putin. He does it, and the media pretends to be horrified. Do they not? I can't believe he likes Kim Jong-un. He doesn't like Kim Jong-un. He called him Little Rocket Man and told him his nuclear button was bigger than him. Did you miss that, dipshits out there in the media? He doesn't like Kim Jong-un. It's a negotiation tactic. Do you even pay attention? If he liked Vladimir Putin, he wouldn't be providing weapons to Ukraine. It's a negotiating tactic. Pay attention. Try to keep up, media dipwads. Okay? Step 1, negotiate even with bad people, because the world, shockingly, sense the sarcasm, is full of bad people. I'm not going to negotiate with him. He's a bad guy. It doesn't work that way. Step 2, if I do not get what I want, escalate. If I have to escalate quickly, I will. This is what Donald Trump does. He wrote about it in the book. Little Rocket Man. I've got my nuclear button. Vladimir Putin better be really careful about what's going to happen next. We'll take out Moscow. Escalate quickly. Rattle your enemy by escalating quickly because it was unpredictable that you were going to do that. They didn't expect that. What did Mike Tyson say once? What's the best punch in the world? Tell me in the chat. The one you never saw coming. And you can never see which direction Trump's punching from. You expected a jab, he kicks you in the balls. You expect to be kicked in the nuts, he bites your ear off. He just is unpredictable. Negotiate in good faith. You don't get what you want, escalate unpredictably, maybe intentionally chaotically. Intentionally chaotically, yes. You know exactly what I mean. Third, stake out a maximalist position. We're going to wipe out Iranian civilization. And then, fourth, settle where we did this morning in a baseline position better than where you started in the first place. No sane actor, even people who I think dispute strongly Donald Trump's decision to engage in this war theater in Iran with our weaponry. No sane person can tell you, if you were to put a beer in them when they're not lying for clicks, that we are not in a better position with the Iranians than we were before we started. Level 1 through 6 of the Iranian theocracy has been taken out. Their navy's at the bottom of the sea. Their ballistic missile capability is still pretty robust, but it's been damaged significantly. Their drone factories, their leadership can't even talk. The Basij militia doesn't even know how to communicate before getting whacked. There's no question we're in a better spot. Negotiate, escalate, maximalist position, resettle on an elevated baseline. Are you writing this down, media people? I'm trying to help you. You are going to wake up and have a coronary. You're going to have a TIA or a full-blown stroke if you keep doing this. World War III, World War III. How many World War III? Do you guys know how numbers work? Justin, how many world wars have there been? 2. Wow, you're pretty good at history. We're at like World War 62 with these people. There is yet to be a World War III. The almost World War III that happened under Biden when Russia invaded Ukraine. Did you miss that? Negotiate, escalate, maximalist position, reset at a better baseline, okay? You write that down. Here's the media thing. The media playbook. So Trump playbook, media playbook. The media playbook. Trump isn't doing anything. Think about when the Iranians were protesting in the street. You're like, what was that, like 10 years ago? No, it was like 3-4 months ago. The Iranians were protesting in the street. And what was the media that hates Trump saying? Trump isn't doing anything. I cannot believe he is leaving these people, hanging them out to dry, the Iranians. You remember that? You go look it up on X. You can see some of their posts. This guy's a fake chicken, coward, not doing anything for the Iranians. You can go look. They said this. So media playbook step 1, Trump isn't doing anything. Then Trump does something, tweets out or puts out on Truth how he's going to wipe out Iranian civilization. And the media responds, this mother is totally crazy. What a lunatic. This dude is insane. Step 1, Trump doesn't do anything. He's a coward. Step 2, Trump does something. And what he does is crazy. This guy's a lunatic. World War III, World War V, World War VII. What is it? Is he doing it? He's not supposed to do something, or is he going to do something? What is it? Then step 3, Trump gets a deal like he did last night. The deal going to work? I don't think there's high expectations, but he's giving him a shot. Trump gets a deal. And what do they go with next? Taco. Trump always chickens out. I thought 10 minutes ago he was crazy and he did too much. What it was? Which one is it? I cannot believe, as my mother-in-law would say, I can't believe he bombed Iranian bridges. He's threatening civilian infrastructure, which, by the way, is being used for military purposes. I can't believe he took out level 1 through 6 of the Iranian theocracy. So how did he chicken out? I don't understand. He chicken out, didn't chicken. How do you go? Now, I get it. I got our good friend Vince Colanese up later. I'll talk to him about this too. I get it. You may say, Dan, you're correct. They're not consistent at all. Folks, it's deliberate. The media wants to play stupid. There are dumb people in it. You got the Joy Reids out there. I get it. But there are people out there in the media, I promise you, who are not stupid. They know what they're saying is bullshit. And they do it anyway. Trump isn't doing anything. Trump does something and he's crazy. And then Trump gets a deal and then he chickened out. Does any of that make sense? Here's a clip of Trace Gallagher on Fox. It actually starts with, I think it's Aaron Burnett at CNN, but he's covering it. And Trace, this is just about 30 seconds, that's it. But brings up this exact point. This can't either, Trump is crazy in his negotiating style, or Trump always chickens out when he gets a deal. Like, you can't have it both ways. Which one is it? You were shitting on him the other day for taking this maximalist position on Truth that he was going to wipe out Iran. And then when he didn't wipe out Iran, you were complaining that he chickened out. Which freaking story is true? Remember, the media always tells you a story, but they never tell you the story. Those aren't the same things. Check this out.
There will be some who will call it, taco. Right? Trump always chickens out, which is making way too light of it. But it is also a truth, which is that he makes giant threats that he does not follow through on.
Yeah.
So it's one thing for everyone to say, well, nobody wanted him to do this. And it's another to say that the word of the president of the United States is now something that people do not think that they can take at his word, that they expect it to be just a quick trading opportunity every single time.
Have they ever heard of negotiation? He makes giant threats and they condemn him for those giant threats. And then when he backs them, oh, see, he didn't follow through on the giant threat. Make up your minds, people.
I don't know any other way to say it. Trace just summed it up in 35 seconds in the clip. You're mad at him for making a threat that led to a concession, and now you're calling him a chicken because the threat led to a concession when you were going crazy about the concession, saying we're afraid he's not chicken and may act out the concession. If your head is spinning right now, it's supposed to. Rewind the tape, go back 15 seconds, and listen to what I said in slow motion, media people.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. Let me click on the Rumble link here. All right. There we go. This video does come from the Dan Bongino show. I am following his channel. I've given him his thumbs up. Horrific video out of Florida. I'm not sure what that is. I didn't watch the whole show. I was doing other things like updating my site. But we'll get to that in the Daily News Wrap-Up because I have included this in my playlist for the Daily News Wrap-Up. So we'll get to that later. But right now, he's right. The media, it doesn't matter what Trump does, they're going to find fault with him. It's just as simple as that. You're going to find a cure for cancer. What about all these doctors and hospital workers that are going to lose their jobs because they can't treat cancer anymore because he got a cure? That would be the exact thing. Look at all the people that are going to be out of a job now because he found a cure for cancer. Let me know if you disagree in the chat or comment. But that's exactly what would happen. Okay, let's jump back here and see what Anthony Brian Logan has to say about Eric Swalwell in trouble, as several women may accuse him of this. All right, let's see what it's all about.
Over a dozen female interns and former employees are prepared to come forward and accuse the Democratic House Rep from California, Eric Swalwell, of inappropriate touching and harassment. And there are quite a few more allegations and problems with this man. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the variety of problems that Eric Swalwell allegedly has. And if you don't know who this is, let me give you a brief intro before we get into all the details. Now, Eric Swalwell is a Democratic House Rep from California who is currently leading the California governor's race. Gavin Newsom, of course, wants to become the president. So the plan here is to replace Lord Emperor Gavin with his protege, I guess you would say, Eric Swalwell. The problem with Eric Swalwell is there is a documented history of harassment when it comes to interns and employees and whatnot. There's also some financial problems. There's also allegations that he is spending campaign finance money inappropriately, paying his own wife up to $200,000 to babysit their own children. Now, before I go any further into it, let's get straight to the clips. Of course, I will link to everything in the description box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
The Democratic candidate currently leading in the California governor's race has a known history of being predatory towards women. And while it may be seen as politically expedient to sweep this under the rug, it is the wrong thing to do, and we know it. I worked on the Hill. I know many women who still do. And this message that I received yesterday is not unique. I have received others, and there are many women who have reached out to other political commentators and to reporters with their stories. This particular message follows the same pattern as the other allegations currently circulating. You know Eric Swalwell has slept with many of his interns and makes them all sign NDAs so they don't speak up, right? And when I was 19, he tried hitting on me and sliding into my DMs, and I have so many other friends that have similar experiences with him. Like I said, this message that I received is not an anomaly. It's part of a pattern. Other commentators have come forward, like this one, saying that no less than a dozen people have come forward to them alleging that Swalwell has had inappropriate relationships with young staffers for years. I understand that because the Trump administration is currently trying to weaponize similar allegations against Swalwell, having this conversation or publicly acknowledging it may feel like aligning with Trump, but that is not the truth. It is aligning with women. Politically, if this is a weakness that Trump can exploit, then it's something that we do need to acknowledge. And more important, morally, if we as a party are willing to bury these kinds of allegations, we are no better than those we point the finger at. Lastly, I would not be surprised if we soon see many other folks come forward. Conversations that I have had suggest that creators who have heard these stories and women who have experienced it are currently sitting on the sidelines because they're afraid of retaliation, of not being able to work in this space anymore if they speak up. But I think as more people come forward, we will hear other voices coming in and echoing these allegations. So we need to deal with this and address this now. People have questions about why I decided to make public comments about allegations of sexual harassment against Eric Swalwell before a major news outlet published the story. So let me be as clear and transparent about that as I safely can be. I am personally working with a group of women who want to come forward and share their stories. I am also aware of a much larger group that is also in this process that I am not personally working with. We have secured pro bono legal representation for them, and they are in the process of sharing their information with major outlets while ensuring that their legal and physical safety is protected. That process takes time, but the number of credible women who have come forward since I posted my first video is really shocking, and all of them moving forward together has greatly expedited the timeline of this whole process. I got deeply involved because, like I said in my first video, I had heard these rumors for years, going back to the time when I was working on the Hill. But the first person who approached me with their story was a close personal friend of mine. Then, once I started digging into it and I found that there were a number of other women whose stories matched the same pattern of manipulation and abuse of power, I knew that I couldn't stay silent because these women needed to know that if they came forward, there was a group of people that would have their back. I understand that people want as much information as possible about these women, their stories, their identities, and the proof to back this all up. The problem is that many of these women have remained silent for so long because they believed that they were alone and that if they came forward, it would ruin their careers. And as someone who has worked in politics, I can't disagree with that assessment. It appears that others may have stayed silent because of a belief that non-disclosure agreements required them to keep this secret. While it is true that most NDAs would be unenforceable under these circumstances, most people don't know that. And the idea of challenging a powerful sitting congressman in court is not something that most people want to do. I understand and appreciate that people are engaging with discernment and critical thinking when they see things like this online. However, there are very real limits to what I can share here and why. I am still sharing these details here before this story breaks more widely to help ensure that women know they can come forward and to help this story break as soon as possible, because I am not blind to the fact that this will have an impact on the California governor's race. One more key point. I'm an attorney. I'm well aware of the fact that if I were to get on my platform and share lies about a public figure, I could be subject to a lawsuit for defamation. That being said, Swalwell follows me, and I know that his team is aware of my video and the videos that other creators have made on this topic. To the best of my knowledge, none of us have been served with legal paperwork or sent a cease and desist. They can't, because the truth is an absolute defense. I also work in politics. I'm aware that having this conversation publicly could lead people that I work with to view me as a liability, but I do not believe in holding Republicans to a standard that we are not willing to uphold ourselves. No more predators in power from either party. Period. So if you or someone you know has a story that you would like to share, or you would like to know what resources that we have available for you, please reach out.
All right, there we go. So that was quite a bit. And of course, as you heard many times, this is not a Republican, not a conservative, not a MAGA. This is a Democratic person who is cool with Democratic people. She is not a Trump supporter. And her name, this is going to be Cheyenne Hunt over in California, executive director of Gen Z for Change, lawyer, activist, co-host of the Baddies for the People, lover of democracy and matcha. Okay, that is her. All right, now, there's a lot we got to get into. There's a whole lot. First of all, some are going to say, well, look, ABL, it's just an allegation. Just allegations, just like Brett Kavanaugh, just like others when we found out that it was false, just like President Trump. Okay, but see, there's some issues with that. there's some issues with that, because with a Brett Kavanaugh, for example, there was no prior history of him doing anything crazy. But with Eric Swalwell, there is a prior history, most famously the whole Fang Fang Yum Yum situation. Let's play this infamous video from 2023. Then I'm going to show you an article. Then I'm going to show you a lot more about this man. Check it out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize that you're here for a hearing on the border. They don't want to talk about a border. Mr. Swalwell is down there. Obviously, everybody knows he's made some comments. He's got a checkered past. He's alleged relationships.
A checkered past? I would ask.
It's my time. Alleged affairs, relationships
past?
with
No,
Yum
sir,
Yum.
you don't get to say that. That's not
he had
true.
alleged relationships with Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words be taken down.
You don't get to say
Mr.
that.
Chairman, yes, the gentleman's words be taken down. He's casting a slur on another member.
I am here.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that Eric Swalwell did not like the Yum Yum allegation or bringing that up, okay? Now, if you don't know about Yum Yum, let me just show you an article. This is, again, from 2023. House Ethics Committee concludes probe into House Rep. Eric Swalwell's interaction with suspected Chinese spy. And her name was Fang Fang, as a man called her Yum Yum, which is hilarious. Okay, so there's Eric, all right? And there is Yum Yum. Now, I don't know where they are, but it appears to be some kind of Chinese event where he's at, maybe at her behest. I don't really know what's going on, but that's the alleged spy right there, Fang Fang, aka Yum Yum. So that's the first thing right there. You got a history with these women. That's kind of like your weakness is the women, and that's known by the Chinese Communist Party. That's why they sent that spy to you allegedly. Now, speaking about Brett Kavanaugh, because some are going to say, well, look, ABL, Brett Kavanaugh was accused. They had Christine Blasey Ford on the cover of Time magazine. It was a whole big thing. They gave her a bunch of money, all to discredit him, so he was not able to join the Supreme Court. Now, thankfully, it didn't work. You know, look at God working very well. It didn't work. But guess who was the tip of the spear when it comes to trying to get Kavanaugh out of the way due to the harassment allegation? None other than Eric Swalwell. 2018, check it out.
For Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what? Bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent. And if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him. It's very easy to isolate one incident and shine inaccuracies or inconsistencies on that case. But the more and more cases that are separate and independent that look the same, pretty soon a prosecutor starts to say to a jury, and this is not a jury, but it's allegations that the arrows are pointing in the same directions. And what are the chances that 3 or 4 women independently who never met each other would have similar experiences with one person? So either, Ari, this person committed these horrific acts, or he is the single unluckiest person in the world for these people to conspire and make up lies against him. But it's a very hard case to make, the more allegations that come in. For Brett.
Eric Swalwell, 3 or 4 women, there are over a dozen women prepared to come against you. So will this same argument you gave to try and throw Brett Kavanaugh under the bus be applicable to you? Why or why not? There's a little bit more before I close here. Swalwell in the hot seat after spending over $200,000 in campaign finance money on personal child care. Now, look, let's get straight to the meat and potatoes right here. Okay. A significant portion of those expenses, over $22,000 from his most recent House and gubernatorial campaign filings, were for just 3 months of child care from October to December 2025. The 3 payments on his gubernatorial campaign filing for child care are made out to his wife, Brittany Swalwell, and total over $6,000. So that's for each payment, they total $6,000. And that's from that most recent one, from the $22,000. But from 2019 to 2025, the total is $200,000 for child care related costs. And that is 3 times higher than the next person spent on child care for themselves from campaign finance monies. So what you may have here is a creep and a thief and a guy who was also bad with money in general, because there's mortgage fraud allegations. There's tax issues. There's all kind of stuff with this guy. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Eric Swalwell, bro. You're going to have a rough time. You want to become the Californian governor, and then maybe you become the president one day? Oh, okay. Well, look, they're going to look at your life with a fine-tooth comb, with a magnifying glass, and find anything that may be wrong. The harassment allegations, that'll be the first boot to drop. Then you get the campaign finance, a la Ilhan Omar. You got all of that going on. So you're going to be in trouble. And to Californians, if you can hear the sound of my voice, please, please, please do not vote for this man. I don't know who your better option is. Maybe the big bulldagger lady who was kind of crazy and walked off the debate. Maybe it's going to be her. I don't really know. But someone other than this man, please. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about Eric Swalwell? Do you think that he did do the harassment against the former employees and the interns? Do you think that he did spend the campaign finance money inappropriately? Do you think that he is guilty of mortgage fraud or something like that? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Eric Swalwell, in my humble opinion, is a creep, and in my humble opinion, is a thief. And he should be nowhere near U.S. politics. And if anything, he should be up under the penitentiary making bit rocks to little for these alleged crimes that he has committed. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
All right, there you have it, folks. I like the information that Anthony Brian Logan shares. It's really good stuff. That's why I like to share his stuff, and that's why I post his videos on Murtech.com, because he has good stuff. This is a video. This is clicking on the Rumble link. This is Anthony Brian Logan, the video I shared with you. I'm sharing his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what Robert Gouveia has to say about California ballot seizure warrants must be unsealed, lawsuit says. Well, that sounds good. Let's check this out.
Wrong answer. Sheriff Chad Bianco, the man who seized hundreds of thousands of ballots in California pursuant to a valid search warrant, has been demanding that a lot of these records be released so that we could all see them. He has now been sued by a bunch of other blue entities in California and reportedly abided by the court's orders, paused the counting of the ballots. They do not want him to get to the total number, because if he finds that actually the physical ballots don't match the digitally reported ballots, that's going to be a big problem for the entire election system. How can that happen? I can understand a couple hundred ballots off. Oops, somebody forgot a stack, somebody forgot a box, whatever. That person should be fired, obviously, and there should be a full-blown investigation if the numbers don't reconcile. Shouldn't our elections at least kind of match a criminal standard? Like, we have no doubt in our election, or beyond a reasonable doubt, or match financial institutions such that you have good reconciliation between the digital and the physical votes? We would all hope so. But this case involves 45,000, give or take, ballots that may have just been generated in the final results. So he got search warrants and seized them. Now courts are issuing stop count orders and other injunctions to prevent that from going forward. But what we're seeing is the media is now racing in here to get these records unsealed. And this is one time that we actually align with the media, because we do think that some transparency here would be great. Currently, the judges and all of these filings are happening under seal, much to our chagrin as somebody who wants to cover this case in depth so we can see what's actually going on. But now the media came crashing in here, and they are recounting some more details that were happening behind the scenes that led to the search warrants and what's happening inside the litigation behind closed doors. So this is back in Riverside, where Sheriff Chad Bianco seized the ballots. These are attorneys for the media coalition who are all coming in here to unseal the search warrant and the material so we can actually take a look at what's happening inside. We've got Delaware, California Newspapers Partnership, ABC's here, Cal Matters, CBS, Fox Fox Television, Inland Empire, bunch of KCRAs, KQCAs, and other ones, Los Angeles TV, Los Angeles Times, NBC Universal, New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle, USA Today, and others. They say, Judge, we are now here seeking a court order to unseal these documents. We seek all documents and records related to these 3 search warrants to seize these pallets full of ballots. February 9th search warrant, February 23rd, and March 19th as well. We want everything. Probable cause statements or affidavits. We want inventory lists. We want returns, any other records, briefing, transcripts, and more that are all related to these things. Here's why. First of all, the law says that these records and search warrants and any court records relating to search warrants, quote, shall be open to the public 10 days after the search warrant. None of it's been released. And other rules say that judicial records are also presumptively open. And to our knowledge, the Media Coalition's knowledge, no such findings have been made here that overrides the public interest. The judges are keeping this stuff buried, even up at the upper levels at the California Supreme Court. So for this reason, we want immediately available all documents and records related to this and give them to us now. The proceedings in this court concern unprecedented facts relating to challenges for the results of the November 2025 special election, the California gerrymandering election. Challenges largely aired in public at every level of the state, judiciary, in meetings, press conferences, and everything. The one exception is here. All of this has taken place in secret. And guess what? The law prohibits that secrecy. They tell us the dispute over the integrity of this special election is replete with competing allegations. Riverside and the registrar of voters, they say the election results are highly accurate. You just don't know how to count. The Riverside Election Integrity Team, a local community group though called REIT, they vigorously disagree on this. They say they contend that there is an unexplainable disparity of some 45,000 votes. Now, you just extrapolate that across other counties in California if the same scam is happening there, and you might have a different outcome in the election. The sheriff's office, through Chad Bianco, launched an investigation. He got 3 search warrants for ballot materials, and he told the public that this investigation will bolster public confidence in the result. Now, Rob Bonta, one of the guys who's the AG who is suing the Trump administration over the executive order related to mail-in ballots, he disagrees. They say that the investigation is causing irreparable harm. So Chad says, wait a minute, these 45,000 votes are problematic. That's undermining public confidence. The state attorney general says, no, you're undermining public confidence. How dare you investigate this claim that is put forth by this other group? Meanwhile, another group of Riverside voters has asked the Supreme Court of California to end the investigation. They fear that this investigation, shrouded in secrecy, undermines California about how elections should work, and all of the Californians are freaking out. We played clips of those women who were out at a press conference saying sheriffs don't know how to count ballots. And again, the sheriff is not recounting or revalidating the results of the election. They are only counting the total number of ballots to see whether there was any digital inflation or deletion. They report a bigger number. The ballots look like they are a smaller number. Where'd those digital votes come from? So the Media Coalition here, all these mostly leftist organizations, they take no position on the merits of these legal arguments. We don't know either way, okay? We don't care. Whoever is right, the law is clear that the documents and the records relating to the search warrants must be made public. The law says shall be open to the public. There is no ongoing investigation exemption to this. Courts have otherwise recognized only narrow exceptions are allowed here. Indeed, even in unusual circumstances where certain information may be legitimately redacted, a court should take all necessary action to ensure full public disclosure. Now, in this case, 10 days have elapsed since the issuance of the search warrants, and as a result, all documents must be made public. You should promptly unseal the records here. The only basis for keeping this matter under seal appears to be sealing orders issued contemporaneously with search warrants, so the judge who signed the search warrants is keeping it sealed. The part of the evidence code protects disclosure of certain information, but you can't support wholesale sealing after these 10 days have expired. First, they say, considering subsequent public disclosures, it is entirely unclear what, if any, non-public information could justify the continued sealing. It was the sheriff's office, by the way, that publicly disclosed the investigation at a press conference and even explained who the targets were. So he has basically revealed things that you would otherwise argue are privileged and cannot be revealed. Second, even if some privileged information remained, the sheriff's office cannot demonstrate that the interest in maintaining that information outweighs the public interest in a full and transparent understanding of this investigation. Chad Bianco himself has argued denying transparency in our election system fosters a sense of corruptness, citing the YouTube video there. And third, even if the interest in confidentiality they outweighed the interest in disclosure, this court should still order the documents and records disclosed. And further, to the extent that the documents and records go beyond the search warrant, the records must be disclosed. The office has publicly suggested to this court it's now counting the ballots, and there's a special master who's going to be monitoring that conduct. Records of these proceedings are also presumptively public, and to our knowledge, the media, no motion or order to seal these documents has been made, nor could it be made because the law says opposite. On November 4th, California had a special election on Prop 50 to redistrict. If adopted, that measure would draw new congressional maps to be drawn and used in these elections all the way through 2030. They say that was in response to Texas. Virginia's doing the same. Whole country's, dividing itself even harder among partisan lines. Voters adopted Prop 50. The vote was 7.4 million to 4.1 million. In Riverside, it was 369 to 286,000. After the election, this organization called REIT, R-E-I-T, they conducted an audit of the results. They said, we reviewed the public records that you guys published, and there is a discrepancy between the numbers of votes cast and counted that existed. So a total number of votes you reported cast, but the ones counted, 45,000 different. REIT presented these results to the registrar of voters. They presented an election update to the Board of Supervisors, which included the audit. So Art Tinoco, REIT reports it to Art reports it to the board. According to Art Tinoco, who's the county registrar, REIT misunderstood the nature of how ballots are counted and mistakenly compared raw ballots to good ballots cast, which is very interesting. Does that mean that they deleted 45,000 votes? What's a raw ballot versus a good ballot? 45,000 bad signatures, 45,000 duplicates. Applying the official standard, they identified a difference of only 103. So his presentation and public comment period went on for over 2 hours. Members of REIT spoke. They also identified themselves. Sheriff's office members were present there as well. The days before that meeting and acting on reports from REIT, Sheriff Bianco and his office, they obtained a search warrant for the registrar's records. They also then held a press conference. 2 weeks later, the sheriff's office obtained a second warrant also for the registrar's records.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. I just wanted to give you the highlights on that. But, California, voter fraud. And it's amazing how, no, we can't look into this. We can't let people know what's going on. If there's nothing wrong, why not look into it? Why not let people know what's going on? What is it? How stupid are people in California? How stupid are Democrats? If there's nothing wrong, then what's the problem with looking at it? Unfreaking believable. Let me click on this Rumble link, folks, and show you that this video does come from Robert Gouveia. I'm sharing his information. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and let's see what Wendy Bell has to say with a big day. All right, let's check it out.
Ring. Hello, Mr. President. Yes, we would like to make a deal. And so began the off-ramp for Iran, which I don't believe for a minute they're going to honor. I'd love to sit here and say, you know what, Trump is right. It's a big day. It's a headline on the New York Post. I stole the headline as today's title because this is what Trump says. He's like, look, this is a very big day. We have brought this country that has terrorized American citizens for almost half of a century and has terrorized the people of its own country for longer than that. We have brought them ostensibly, if not to their knees, at least to the negotiating table. So he said, what did he say? 2 weeks. We're going to have a 2-week ceasefire. Cooler heads hopefully will prevail. And then what did I just see? Iran is firing off missiles and rockets at Iran and its neighboring Middle Eastern countries. So proxies of the country, if not whatever vestiges remain of their arsenal, they're still firing off. I don't know what that's going to do to the ceasefire. I don't know what that's going to do to any of these peace negotiations. But I want to read you what President Trump said yesterday, Trump and Iran, agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire. Now, what's interesting here, and I think what might play out, I have absolutely no inside information whatsoever, but judging from what we know about this country, if the leaders, whomever is still somewhat in charge, who is able to basically tell the Iranian people, we need you and your families, particularly your little kids, to go over to the power plant and lock arms and join together. Think of it as kind of a photo op. We're all going to do like one of those Christmas selfies, like cheese, right? No, but what we're going to do is we're going to create a human shield, and you are it. And if you don't go, well, then we know that you won't go because we can track you and we will take necessary action. How else do you think the Iranian people show up for this stuff? Because they're deeply connected and committed to the regime, because they're loyal to the Ayatollah or whomever vestige is left of him? No, they don't have internet. Only, I would imagine, a scarce few have access to information. And what do you have in Iran too? Oh, that's right. They don't have guns. They don't have firearms. Iranian people don't. So they're sitting freaking ducks. Isn't it amazing that this is what the Democrat Party wants to do to you every time some shooting comes around? Oh, too many guns. Restrict the guns. No more guns. And it's like, really? I'm not really having a gun to protect from home invaders. I'm protecting myself from the freaking government. I don't know about you. So they say, yes, we'll agree to this 2 weeks. Everybody will chillax for a while. We won't fire stuff at each other. Iran is still firing rockets at other people. So we'll see how Caroline Levitt today in the second hour of the show discusses that. I don't believe for a minute that Iran is going to agree to never again, and will keep its promise to never again have nuclear ambitions, because their goal is to kill people who don't believe what they believe. It's not about converting you. You're either in or you're out. And if you're not in, then you dead. This is the prevailing philosophy of these radical Shia clerics, right? Who have no intention of giving up the one thing they want, which isn't peace and harmony and freedom and free trade and endless oil and everybody to live peacefully, joyfully, and for a golden age. They want death to America. They want death to Israel. And I highly doubt they're going to say, you're right, we have been bad people. So we'll see what happens. President Trump says a big day. Now, this is obviously bad news for the whole world order, the new liberal world order, where you're supposed to be squeezed by skyrocketing oil prices. Because what happened just a moment after they announced it? Trump putting it out. Oh, that's right. U.S. oil prices fell over 18% in like the first hour after the ceasefire was declared. This is terrible news for the deep state. Terrible news. They don't want peace. They don't want affordable gas. They don't want tariffs coming in and knocking down the debt. They don't want a small government. They don't want your children being controlled by you. They don't want quality education. They don't want any of this. Isn't that a damn shame? Well, that's the truth. After Donald Trump and Iran's Supreme National Security Council announced they each agreed to the ceasefire, West Texas Intermediate crude oil futures dropped below $100 per barrel to its lowest point since at least late March. And that is most assuredly not what anybody wants to see if they want to hate on Donald Trump. So this is what the president, truth last night, which scooped all of the media. I love that. In one fell swoop, he has Bigfooted all of the media out of the conversation. And he's like, why do you listen to them? Just listen to me. I'll tell you what's going on. And so last night at 6:33 p.m., an hour and a half before the deadline, before he was going to destroy, completely obliterate, civilization. Really? He writes this: based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives, and are very far along with the definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, as president, and also representing the countries of the Middle East, whoa, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. On behalf of the United States of America as president, and also representing the countries of the Middle East. This is so much bigger than just the 3 words that President Trump said, a big day. In just about a year and 3 months, this president has completely transformed the image of the United States of America on the world stage as being one not to fiddle with. Don't lie to us, don't backstab us, and when we ask for help, if you do not, we won't forget. And you want to be our allies. This representation of the United States president standing up and voicing for the Middle Eastern countries is something I never expected, certainly not in my lifetime. And there it was. So from here, where do we go? Well, you need to hear what Larry O'Donnell over at MSNBC said last night. It wasn't about peace. It wasn't about nuclear. It wasn't about, my goodness, is a reign of terror finally over? No, that's not what he cared about. This you can't miss next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All righty. Let's get this up here to about the 23-minute mark.
And the guy...
They...
It's magic, you know.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. WendyBellRadio.com. Follow the live video streams. President Trump is launching an investigation into CNN for apparently pushing a fraudulent Iranian ceasefire statement, and says CNN may have broken the law, may have committed a crime. I'm going to read you what this statement was on behalf of Sayed Abbas Arghashi. This is a guy who's putting this out on behalf of the Supreme National Security Council of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And he writes this. And this came out 40 minutes after President Trump truthed out the two-week ceasefire. It says, on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I express gratitude and appreciation for my dear brothers. And he's talking about the Pakistan guy who's, creating this liaison off-ramp and negotiations. In response to the brotherly request of the Prime Minister Sharif in his tweet, and considering the request by the U.S. for negotiations based on its 15-point proposal, as well as an announcement by POTUS about acceptance of the general framework of Iran's 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiations, I hereby declare on behalf of the Iran's Supreme National Security Council, if attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations for a period of 2 weeks. Safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations, whatever that means. So, apparently, that's not exactly what CNN decided to put out. And that's kind of a little bit of a problem. I'm going to pull it up for you here, so hold on. President Trump just dropped this nuclear truth social bomb on the corrupt fake news media, announcing the 2-week and two-sided ceasefire, agreeing to pause planned military strikes, blah, blah, blah. The reason for all of this he puts out in his post, and then he shared exactly with you or with everybody what I just read from Iran. However, this is what Donald Trump said later. He said an alleged statement put out by CNN World is a fraud, as CNN well knows. The false statement was linked to a fake news site out of Nigeria, and of course immediately was picked up by CNN and blared out as a legitimate headline. And what basically Iran was doing is saying that they had made Trump bow to their demands, that we're going to pay for their reconstruction, that they're going to control the Strait of Hormuz, and that basically Donald Trump failed and this was a bad mission. That was what CNN put out because it was generated out of some source from Nigeria. And so Donald Trump is saying, you know what, we're going to come after you. That's fake news. And you can't, in times of war, fiddle like that. How dare you? So I wonder what's worse. CNN's fake news that Iran said that it had won, that the United States had lost, and that was the deal. Or Larry O'Donnell from MS Now taking away this sliver of Pete Hegseth's press conference the other day about no man being left behind. Let's listen into Larry.
That brilliant rescue was described by the Secretary of Defense and by General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as a long-standing American military rule of never leaving anyone behind.
We leave no man behind.
That is, of course, the old school version of the idea back when only men flew American military planes. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, put it this way.
We leave no one behind.
The general knows, unlike Pete Hegseth, that could have been a woman they were trying to rescue, and it might be a woman the next time.
You know, I don't like to give morons like Larry O'Donnell oxygen, particularly not on my show. But why would anybody ever watch such freaking drivel? You're going to take umbrage with the vernacular, with the particular word that was chosen, Larry? You ignorant dolt! What a feckless and small little person you are. So this is what CNN had put up about Iran. This was CNN's breaking news. It wasn't President Trump. It wasn't his tweet. It wasn't his truth, rather. This is what they said. Headline: Iran claims victory, says it forced U.S. to accept 10-point plan. What? Iran says it has achieved a great victory and forced the United States to accept its 10-point plan, according to a statement from Iran's Supreme National Security Council report by Iran state media. Oh, we're playing telephone now. As part of the plan, the U.S. has in principle agreed to lift all primary and secondary sanctions against Iran and to withdraw U.S. combat forces from all bases in the region, the council said. It has also agreed to accept Iran's nuclear enrichment. What? In what world? And recognized its continued control over the Strait of Hormuz. According to the council, controlled passage through the waterway would be carried out, quote, in coordination with Iran's armed forces. President Trump was absolutely right to call that out. CNN is working as a loud, vocal propagandist lapdog partner of the Democratic Party and the deep state that sure as hell don't want peace. It's the same way they don't want you to be healthy. There is no money if you're not sick. There is nothing to bitch about and to complain about when the world is at peace. And then all of a sudden, all of the silos, all of the bombs and incoming that you're trying to strike off against this president and this administration kind of fail to reach distance, don't they? What a despicable outfit CNN is. An absolute disgrace. Take them down, Mr. President. Coming up, crazy and unhinged, or just the right tone and tenor for terrorists? You decide. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on from here. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. Boom. I hope you do the same thing for me, and I will include this video in my daily news wrap-up so that you can watch the rest of this. All right? But let's see what we got going on here in the chats. Yeah, let's copy these chats into a comment so they will be a permanent part of this video. Because as we know, when the live stream ends, the live chats just kind of go away into hyperspace. And let me remind you folks that the videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the link to the videos as well as the links to the producer's channel. And these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com. Here's the Anthony Bryan Logan video. Here's the Dan Bongino video. Right down here's the Robert Gouveia video. Oop, right there. And here's the Wendy Bell Radio video that I shared with you. I've got over 40 videos here at Murtech.com of no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth that I update multiple times a day. It's a free site. The link is in the description box below. So if you want to go over there and catch up on what's going on so that you don't have to surf the internet, it's right there for you. As I said, I'd like to share all of this information with you, but unfortunately I don't have the time to do so, and that's why I put together my Murtech Daily News Wrap-Up, where I have, it says 24 videos here, about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. Here's the Wendy Bell Radio video that I have in my list, and the Dan Bongino. We have more information from Dr. Steve Turley on the fringe, some more information from Robert Gouveia. Illegal loving Judge Dugan crushed in desperate attempt to escape justice. Sorry about that. More information here from Benny Johnson, and we know X22 report. A lot of great stuff. But go ahead and take a break. Give me about 15 or 20 minutes. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. But as it stands now, I do want to thank you for being with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless. Let me end with some information here from Rumble Wallet.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button, and when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
Designed for patriots who stand tall, this cap captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud this isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability.
Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.